So today's presentation has to do with how to go about using Spotify to better your marketing and also your customer service. And to facilitate, God, that's a hard word to say today, to facilitate our gathering today, I'd like to introduce all of you to my favorite DJ from Seattle.
Oh, Sean, Greg, ouch!
I'm kidding. To one of my three favorite, and no particular order, one of my three favorite DJs from Seattle, Mr. Alan Chitlik. Alan, take it.
Thank you, Ron.
Yay.
I know a lot of people can't stand Ron, but he has always been so courteous and professional and helpful to me. So I want to thank you for allowing me to have a few minutes.
I'm thrilled,
here.
Man.
So just a quick review, what I'm not going to talk about in any way is using Spotify at your events. I think that's a whole nother subject. I think the best way as a DJ for you to do events is to own your MP3s and play from those. But what I am going to talk about is, as Ron described, taking Spotify as a tool so that you can better serve your clients and have a closer relationship with them. In my case, it's been a tool that's allowed me to really have a good musical connection with my couples, and it's where they are, right? Most of my clients are on Spotify, so the idea that I can enhance their Spotify experience, help their wedding planning experience by sharing some of my lists and some of the technologies, I have found to be very successful. I get a lot of feedback from people who really enjoy having my lists and having my Spotify available. One other kind of thing that I want to mention, I'm a pretty low-key, easygoing guy. I don't know everything. So absolutely, if you've got something to add or if you've got a question, just interrupt me, raise your hand, say something in chat, and I'm totally good with all that. I want to briefly start by sharing with you how my Spotify is structured. There are free plans, maybe you know about that. There is a $10 a month professional plan, which cuts out the ads and gives you way more capabilities on mobile. And then there's a family plan, which gives you 5 IDs for people in the same household. And that's what we do. So in my family plan, I have me, Alan, the DJ, my wife, my son, my daughter, and then me, Alan, the actual music listener. And so on this account, I have Michael Franti and Bruce Springsteen and 0 Vitamin String Quartet or things like that that I just don't quite listen to outside of my professional obligations. So I may flip back and forth between some of these IDs today, so just be aware of that. Ron, if I hit share screen, will that just work?
Yes. There you go.
Great. All right. So I just want to start by showing you, I'm currently logged on as my wife because I want to show you what my Spotify looks like to a stranger. So here is my set of public playlists. In general, I try to have them organized about how the evening is going to flow. So I start with all my ceremony playlists. I then go to dinner playlists. And then what I kind of call events, the grand entrance, cake cutting, first dance, father-daughter, those kind of things. This is a popular playlist, combined father-daughter, mother-son dance. Sometimes people do that together. I got 80 followers on that one. And then my dance lists. So I have a whole bunch of those. And this is not the right formula for anyone else, but this is how my brain works. And this is how I have generally organized my music and my playlists. So it's how I have that reflected. And then I'll show you later how I have that in DJ Event Planner as well. So I am going to log out of Sarah, log into me. And if anybody needs my password or credit card numbers, just let me know. I'm happy to share that with you. All right, so this is me. The other day, Mike Walter posted something about depressing love songs. So I was listening to Eric Carmen and Bread, trying to give him some ideas. So this is similar to what you've just seen, right? Like here's all my lists. I hope nobody will be insulted if I just start from the very basics here about how you create a playlist from scratch. Is that like, it's going to take 10 seconds. So let's just do it, right? So down at the bottom, there's this button, new playlist. So you just click that. And then I'll get back to this in a little while, but in description, this is a great place to put more information about your playlist. So there it is created. It is currently blank. Ron, do you have a song that you'd like to add to this list?
Rubber Band Man.
Oh, Spinners.
One of my favorites.
Okay, so let's get at least 4 other songs. Who's got one?
Fantasy, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Dreamweaver.
Oh, Dreamweaver. Is that 2? I think it is.
Something Disney for Ron, so we can all drink.
Is that the Easy Riders? Is that right?
No, Gary Weaver. Gary what's his name? Gary.
Hakuna Matata.
Maybe it's 2 words, Dreamweaver.
Oh, yeah.
Gary Wright.
Hey, I got it right that time.
All right, so then there's going to be a little of my verse here. So here it is. We have 4 songs, which is fine. And then a key benefit that you can get with Spotify is this set of recommendations. Now, we're a little bit all over the map with these songs, but if you have a bunch of adult alternative songs or a bunch of dance music from the 80s or classic rock or something like that, you might very well get some great recommendations here about songs that you had forgotten about. And it's just as simple as adding them just like that. If you have looked at those and you think, no, not interested, you can click refresh, and then that'll give you 10 more. So I need you. So now here's one other thing I want to show you. This automatically takes the first 4 songs and creates an album cover or a playlist cover of those 4 albums. So that's what that's got. But that is customizable. So if you want to take a piece of art and replace that, you certainly can. And I'll show you a little bit more later about how that works. Now, so we've got a playlist. By default, this playlist is private. However, if I click on this button right here, that's how I make it public. And so now anybody that goes to Spotify and Puget Sound DJ will see this, Ron Roos Mastermind group. In fact, let's see if that public playlists, I might need to refresh more or something to get that to show up. But in general, I would expect to find that right there. The other thing that you can do that is significant with a playlist is to make a collaborative playlist. And collaborative playlists are generally indicated with a little star right there. So this is a playlist that my family is trying to create so that we can all be listening to the same things at the same time. This is one I made for my kids' 8th grade class, and then other people were able to add songs to it. The collaborative playlist can be great for couples who have ideas and they want to throw out to you, here's what I like for my ceremony, here's what I like for dinner. Then you can potentially add along with them and find some different things that will work for them. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
I muted everyone, so if you have a question, make sure you unmute yourself.
Nope, I don't have any questions. Good stuff so far.
Great. So I'll show you the results of this later, but in order for you to replace this, you basically click on the edit, the little thing, pencil, and then if you click on replace image, you can go, let's see, we have a cute one of my dog right there. Oh, well, it's got to be edited a little bit. But in general, you can replace these images, and I'll show you a couple examples of people who have done that to great impact. And also, the comments field is a ripe opportunity for you to describe to people who are coming to your playlists what's in it. And if you know this from website management, a great thing to have in there is some sort of call to action, right? Get in touch with me at this address, or please check out these other sites or opportunities. And I'll also show you some folks who have used that to great impact.
I have a quick question. Are you able to do subsets under these lists, or is it just every list? So like ceremony playlist, are you able to do classical, alternative? Oh yeah, like that. Okay. Yep. All right.
Yeah, and actually, I can show you that now. But it's one of the things that it took me a while to actually find this. But if you nest this in different folders, you can absolutely do what you just described. So you just right-click on one of these, create folders, best music ever, and maybe you start a new other playlist. Good songs for Sue. So you can take various playlists and then put them in that folder. So there's two benefits to that. One, obviously, is that you can keep your left-hand navigation way streamlined, right? So it's very simple. I mean, I think I have 100 public playlists, but it's nice to just have those different specific categories. And then the playlists that are public are in this order. So remember I showed you earlier how I have all my ceremony lists, and then my dinner, and then my events, and then my dance, and then my sort of random personal stuff? That is because I have these in this folder, like this. So Wedding Adult Alternative is the first playlist you see, and so on. So this is a list where I have a pretty good number of followers. I have 1,000 followers here. And this is an example of some comment that I just put in there. It's not earth-shattering, but these are some of my favorite songs to play prior to weddings and during processionals. Set a great mood. Love to chat with you about your favorites. And then I give them my name and my web address. so that potentially they'll get a hold of me. Now, I don't have as much of a moral issue or technical issue playing cocktails or dinner music from Spotify. I feel like if you've got a playlist there, it's not going to kill anybody, but you definitely don't want to stream it. What you would want to do is use this download button. And if you move that over to the right, it will actually download these 162 songs onto your computer. So you'll have an offline copy of this, or you can put it on your phone. It's not a bad thing to have as an emergency on your phone.
Yeah, Alan, I've totally done that myself for cocktails. You're not mixing that. There's no reason. Just download it. And
yeah,
the list they want.
So how long are you able to keep the I mean, I'm confused. I mean, how long?
Ron, you can keep it as long as you have an active Spotify account.
Huh. Interesting. So what? Well,
Active paid
maybe
Spotify
you're
account.
going to explain this later, but my question would be, okay, so if you had, as an example, a party playlist, like instead of having Cerrone, you could essentially download it onto 2 devices and then mix back and forth between the 2.
You know, it is true that Spotify is pulling away from allowing manufacturers of DJ software to integrate anymore. The last one, and I think the best one, was a program called DJ, which literally you could be on Spotify and mix between different Spotify songs. That dies next week, I think, maybe July 1st. And they also pulled it out of virtual DJ a couple months ago.
Okay.
But technically, yes. I mean, if you downloaded some stuff on a phone and on a tablet and connected those via an RCA, that could be a legitimate 4th or 5th backup. I wish Jim Cerrone was able to make it today, because it would be like his 7th or 8th backup.
He was here. No, he's still here. Jim, you want
Jim's
to turn
here?
on?
Oh, that's great. I wasn't. Oh, hello, Jim.
Hey, Alan, just as a caveat, or I guess it's more of an answer to Ron's question. I think you would have to have those 2 tablets logged into different Spotify accounts. You can only run it, well, depending on if you have a family plan.
Well, I'm not asking the question because I want to try it. I'm asking the question because of the legality of it. It just seems a little, and maybe that's a conversation for another day, because that really has nothing to do with the topic at hand. But I first off, I didn't know you could do that. You could actually download a playlist onto a device, and so that's news to me, because this is my first attempt at, or my first discovery of Spotify in the first place. So I just move on without my question, Alan. We'll save it for another day.
No, that's a very legitimate one. And I will share with you that, okay, first of all, once you've downloaded something, you do see this green arrow next to the playlist. So that helps you identify what you may have downloaded. And I will share with you that when I went through last off season, maybe a winter ago, I identified that there are really about 1,100 songs that I feel with that list, I could finish any reception. And so I created that list, and I have this downloaded on at least one iPad most of the time. So I have an emergency. If my 2 laptops fail, I have this music, and I could make it work somehow. I wouldn't like it, but like Jim, I enjoy that security of feeling very well backed up. Okay, any other questions about that? So we've shown how you can manually add songs to Spotify. And if you have a lot of time and a lot of effort, or you're willing to spend a lot of effort, that can be a strategy for you. However, an easier strategy for you, to work, is to import your playlists. So this is a website called tunemymusic.com. It is free. So you simply click start, and then you pick where your list is. If you have made playlists in any of these formats, and I know many of you use iTunes, you are able to then move these to Spotify, or if you have them in M3U files, which is how I have most of my music, you can upload a file. All right, so here is a playlist I created earlier today. In Your Honor, Ron, Kansas City. I've got 19 songs on there, and I subscribe to promo only, and I get some songs from Master Mix that are DJ edits. But, you know, it's a pretty random set of songs there. And then I am going to select my destination, which will be Spotify, and then start moving my music.
Oh, that's sweet that you can do that. That's really sweet.
So that converted that.
So you've just taken the library that you have on your hard drive and put it on Spotify. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's right. So now this playlist that I had on my library just converted all 19. And I will share with you that you need to eyeball these. Sometimes there'll be the karaoke version. Sometimes there'll be a version where maybe Lizzo is talking about juice. I mean, Spotify doesn't interview Lizzo very much, but it can be a song that's that kind of thing. So it is absolutely worth scrolling up and down. And I think that once happened to me with Don't Stop Believin', but that's the Journey song. That's not a karaoke or any other version like that. So, you know, that is now on my Spotify. And it does, I got it.
Alan, to interrupt you a moment. So in this case, you just uploaded the music. Whereas if I have saved playlist in iTunes, if I transfer it, it's actually pulling from the Spotify database based upon what I have, the list I've given it, correct?
Yeah, so it searches artist and title and cross-references what you see in iTunes versus what Spotify has got. And it's not perfect, it's well over 90%. But in terms of having to search and sort for all those, man, that saves a lot of time.
Like for example, something like I have a lot of some obscure Broadway musicals. So I could be on Spotify, and I have in the past, I'm looking for a song they don't have, it's not there. So say I own the CD of obscure Broadway musical #1. I can actually upload those files as you did. So now my obscure Broadway recording would be available to other Spotify people.
What I just did was literally create a separate, different playlist on Spotify using just those names. No music was transferred.
I understand, but
Right.
can you?
I don't think so. I think that you can do it. Well, Jim is nodding. I think that you can do that for your own use, that you can have Spotify index your library, but I don't think you can take that next step where you are sharing your obscure songs out to other people.
So the other cautionary tale here is that since you're not actually transferring the music, if you have an edited version of something, it may not pop up as an edited version on the opposite end, on the Spotify end.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was having a discussion with a fellow DJ last night about the explicit versions. And it's true. I don't think Spotify cares. They're fine with explicit versions. They are not DJs at weddings where there are multiple generations of people there. So you can see it's at least labeled explicit for these Lizzo songs. If you're sharing playlists with couples in their 20s, I think they're going to be over it. I think they know that's how music is these days. So does anybody have any other questions about that? Jim Cerrone.
Alan, there is a way in your preferences in Spotify to have explicit content either on or off. And you can do that if you have a family plan. You can set that master, but then the individual people in your family plan can turn it on or off. But on your tablet, on your iMac, on your phone, anywhere you use Spotify, if you set explicit content as off, then the songs will show up grayed out and you won't have any problems with an explicit song slipping into a playlist you're making.
Yeah, perfect point, Jim. Thank you. So that's under settings, and then right here, explicit content, allow playback of explicit rated content. I would like to take a moment to show you a few DJs who I think crush this and we can all learn from. I'm going to start with a man in Indianapolis named Jim Cerrone. So here is his
Big loser.
That's not.
If you can mute yourself, Miss Liz, that would be great. You can't think bad about Jim Cerrone.
Oh, come on. He thinks he's the perfect host, but we all know.
So what I like about Jim's is two things. He is great about using this comments field. You know, he does it for each specific playlist. So he's telling the couple the story of when this is going to have an impact. You're married, escape down the aisle to any song you want. Wedding recessional ideas from Jim Cerrone, the perfect host. Contact Jim for exclusive edits and instrumental mixes, which I think is a great selling point. And he gives the photographer a nice shout out. And we talked earlier about the ability to change photos. See that photo? That is definitely something that he edited and put in there that makes that playlist, I think, even more personal. And a bouquet toss playlist, and yes, that's Mr. and Mrs. Cerrone with their bouquet. So, you know, you can really make this highly personal, and I think that's a good example. I want to show you Elite Entertainment. This is Mike Walters' company. Similar kind of thing where they have really branded some of these nicely. So here's the garter and bouquet list, but right there on that first screen, you see their website, right? And yeah, and so they've done a nice job in the comments field there as well. And then if I can show you one more, Greg Paulman from Ambient DJs, he's a monster. I mean, he has playlist after playlist. I'm just going to start scrolling. But it's just phenomenal. And I think part of he has built some of his brand on having incredible cocktail mixes that have different niches that work with a different drink or something like that. And he every year he publishes a guide to wedding music, and this sort of correlates to a lot of what he's done there. Anybody have questions about any of those?
So if, and again, not just out of curiosity, like if I wanted to, could I import somebody else's playlist into my playlist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Groove On Wedding Cocktail Hour, you just click here, save to your library, and then it's in your set of playlists. And then if you want, you can put that down here in Best Music Ever, so you can continue to organize that. All right, do we have at least some DJ Event Planner users?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to show you briefly 2 quick tips in DJ Event Planner. So I've logged on to an account here, and I click on Plan My Account, Add Requests. So 2 things. Here, I have a field called Ideas, and I have mapped these playlists to what my couples see on Spotify. So here's my Ceremonies Adult Alternative, and if I hear that they love Marry Me, or they decide, they can click Must Play, Bittersweet Symphony, if they love that, that can be their Must Play. And then here comes a feature that when I meet with a couple, I usually take an iPad, I usually show them their planning tools, and then this gets a pretty big ooh and ah. So I click on this, I click Connect Your Spotify, and then this goes on and connects their Spotify. So this is actually my Spotify. It's what we just did. But let's go here to Wedding Ceremony Adult Alternative. It's a very similar list, but they can now click on a song from Spotify, add that to their DJ Event Planner list, or they could add the whole damn thing. So it's added, there's the playlist being added to DJ Event Planner that quickly. In addition to the playlist, this is the albums that they may have saved. So if there's something, you know, How We Livin', great song. So I can add that as well. There's Michael Franti. So that for a DJ Event Planner user, I think really works well. There's some great synergy there between DJ Event Planner and Spotify. Any questions about that? All right, so you've spent some time, and I don't really think it would take very much time for most of you if you wanted to enhance your Spotify presence in your playlists to build that up. So how do you promote that? I'll show you a couple ways that I do that. One is simply my business card. I let people know that I'm on Spotify, but also there is something here called Spotify codes, and I'll show you that. Is it true that my screen is just on camera and I'm just tiny, right? So I'll just show you these on my computer, and then I'll show you the tangible things. In my auto signature, I have Spotify, and then I have another Spotify, so that anybody who gets a mail from me has those links. I also have something that I pass out at wedding shows and such, that is some ideas of first dance songs. But if you see this green code right there, this is called a Spotify code. And you could even do this on your screen right now. If you take your phone and you put it up to that, it scans it and then brings up your profile on their phone. So it is very powerful when I'm at a wedding show or something, chatting with a couple, and then I hand them this piece of paper and I point out that code to them. And then I was like, hey, can you get out your phone? And then we scan this, and then Alan Chitlik comes up, or Puget Sound DJ comes up. And they're like, whoa, I thought this guy was old, but he is totally hip. So I definitely make
I'm
use
sorry,
of that.
Alan, I was trying to do that. How do you tell them to scan it? Because I was trying to do it right now. So you said open up your phone, open up what?
In most phones nowadays, you can just open up your camera application.
Okay.
Am I big enough on your screen to do that?
I'm holding up my camera app to the little code here on the computer screen, and nothing is happening.
All right. When I stop sharing, we can maybe try it again, and it'll be bigger.
It's pretty big on my screen. I have a big screen.
Okay.
It's 1.5 inches wide.
Okay. I don't have a full explanation for that. I can share with you that I've done it many times and it's worked pretty well. And then one other way that you can use this content pretty easily is on your websites, in blog posts. Like, here's my outdated site, but I can spend, I don't know, half an hour or less doing a blog post. Here's some of the top dance songs of 2019. And then here's the list, and all I had to do was put the link in there. And then Spotify, fills that in. I mean, so that's a pretty easy way to kind of spread your presence on Spotify as well.
And photos. Hey, Alan, my husband he was listening to this, and he said that's a preference in your photos to allow it to scan QR codes. That's a preference that you have to have turned on.
All right, that is good information.
So yeah, he's listening.
Alan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Liz, I just found it. If you go to Spotify and then you go to search, if you just tap in the search box, there's a little camera icon in the search box. You can hit that and it'll say, ask if you want to scan the code.
Oh, right, on the device.
On your device.
Thank
go to
you.
search.
I had
I'm
forgotten
on search.
that.
I'm on search.
You see a little camera icon in the search box?
Yeah, this is a desktop, but
I do not.
Alan, can you put that code up again?
Liz, this is what mine looks like. You see the little camera?
All right,
over here?
that is another version of it.
Okay, upper right. See, what I look at when I'm home, and then I say search, I get that.
Alan,
So
may I ask a question,
and
please?
tap in the search box.
Oh.
Tap in the search box. Now do you see a camera?
Yes.
There it is.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
So Alan, put your thing up again.
Okay, sorry.
Do search.
Okay.
Alan, I have a question.
I'm listening.
Oh, cool. As the other old guy on the call, so all these playlists are wonderful, but when a bride goes in and she wants to just pick and choose songs, rather than, you know, how is she going to just pick and choose to let you know which songs are of great interest to her? Does she, I mean, do you right click on them and then you save them in her own playlist? How does this work?
I think this, depending on what their preference is, a simple way is to do a collaborative playlist. So they say Betty and Susie's dinner list.
Okay.
And then as they go through and they see things they like, they just slide that over into the collaborative dinner list.
I see.
And then I get to see that too.
Okay.
If they want to do me a solid, they can put that in their DJ event planner information, and then it's a little bit easier for me to manage from that point. But I'm definitely trying to make it easy for them to do that however they want.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. So I want to take a moment to show you a little bit about how you make these Spotify codes. All right. So the first thing you need is your Spotify URI. I don't really know what that stands for, but if you wanted to create a code for a playlist or for you as a user, you click here on Spotify URI. You go to a website, which I'm going to send back out to you, Spotify codes. So you paste that there. And if you want to pick a color that works with your color scheme, or perhaps the official Spotify color scheme, I will send out a link that gives you the hex color for the Spotify green. And then you can select, maybe you want black, and then you just click download. And you've got this JPEG. So you've got that Spotify code and you can put it wherever you want, business card, flyer, whatever.
Cool.
All right, I would say that's what I got. Who's got questions?
That was totally cool. My geek husband just looked up and he said that's unique. What is it? Unique resource indicator code.
Is your husband's name Steve? Is that right?
Yes, and he's over here vicariously listening to us as he does other work.
Oh, good job, Steve.
Oh,
All right, I can't get, oh, there's stop share. Do I have anything else to share? I think I don't.
Ta-da.
Oh, look at the chat. You can't see the chat when you're.
you have to open it, but it is there.
Oh, okay. All the people were way off to the side, and my screen was.
Well, I'm
was
kind of
pretty cool.
scanning through the chat, and I'm not really seeing any questions. I see Jay Kasich was talking about auto mixing. You only choose one mix time. If you choose 7 seconds, it will mix to the next song. Something that we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Oh, that's because somebody else asked the question of no auto mix question mark. You can trim from Jim Cerrone. You can't trim songs, so there will be dead air between songs. So yeah, so it doesn't look like there's really any questions in the chat, but anybody have questions they would like to ask directly? Go ahead, Jim.
Quick question. So yeah, as far as this is just maybe another place you have to keep updated, you know, data updated, so new songs and all that. So how do you go about doing that? What do you find, like say monthly, you're adding to it, or where are you searching, or what are you doing as far as that's concerned?
I don't know. Yes, I do feel some pressure. I feel like I have a better start with this, and it matches what I'm interested in more than some of the other social media stuff. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm a little bit more eager to work on my Spotify lists than I might be on my Instagram posts. I actually do a lot of my playlist management in MediaMonkey, and then I export everything into M3U files, which Virtual DJ can read very well, which allow me to import into DJ Event Planner, and I can move into Spotify. But there's some of these that I haven't touched in a long time.
I just wanted to say, I've been using Spotify for 8 years now, and I had no idea you could set up folders. And that's going to be a game changer for me because I've got like probably 150 playlists. So
it was well over a year before I found that too. And I think that very few DJs know that and or understand how that impacts how all their playlists show up. I think most DJ playlists just are in the order where the last thing they created is up on top. And once you get past a couple dozen playlists, that is way more challenging for couples.
Right.
Sue asked, she said, so the way you use this for marketing is you share with the client and collaborate with favorites for their event?
Yeah, I would say I want to establish for my couples that I'm really committed to music and that I'm on top of it, and that I want them to have a lot of ideas. And when the couple comes up and they're like, oh, I'm stuck for my mother's son song, I've got some, I've got this list and I keep it up to date. I would say one of my favorites to keep up to date is my first dance list that's kind of modern, because those are kind of, they're just fun, good love songs to listen to.
So that brings
and then obviously, I subscribe to Promo Only, and I try to keep up with that, but that's a big challenge for all of us. And then anything Jim Cerrone posts.
So how do you, which brings up the question, okay, so what resources are you using to determine what's a great first dance song? Or a great father-daughter dance song, or a great mother-son dance song? Well,
sometimes I look at what DJ Event Planner and DJ Intelligence have as their top songs going on, because sometimes the slow songs will show up on that. I will absolutely look at other people's lists, some of the people who are on top of things, and listen to those and see if there's something that strikes me. And sometimes couples find things that are obscure. Jim loves to point out the times when a couple selects something he doesn't have, when indeed he's got the other 17 songs of an artist or something like that. But those are some of the ways. And then once you have a list going on, you can also look at the recommendations down below and listen to some of those and see if those are anything that you find interesting.
Awesome. Anybody else have a question? They'd like to go ahead.
All right, actually I have a question about public playlists. I noticed you organized playlists into folders for your personal library. Does that reflect into the public profile, like into your public profile, and categorize the list, or do they all get thrown into one bucket?
It determines the order. So nobody who goes to my Spotify profile will understand that I've got these in a certain folder or those in a certain folder. But at least they'll see, because I have created a ceremony folder, they'll see all those ceremonies first. And within that folder, I kind of anally have them in alphabetical order, right? So it's ceremony, adult, alternative, ceremony, country, ceremony, classical, goes above country, or whatever. So at least that affects how they'll display.
Cool.
Anybody else? I know another great resource you were talking about, Jim. Can you plug you have a Facebook group page called DJ Playlist? I'm sorry, if you want to plug that group, because I don't know if everybody here is a member of that group or has heard of it.
It's actually not mine. I'm a
Okay.
member like everybody else, but it's DJ Playlist Work Group. And credit goes to Chuck Leonard and Steve Sharp and some other folks who started it. But it's just a great place to share playlists from actual events that you do. In fact, that's one of the qualifications of being part of the group is you can't just go there and ask for suggestions. You need to share stuff. But it's also where I put new songs that I've heard that I think are going to be hits. It's just a good way for all of us to kind of keep up and share.
And it looks like Alan just shared the link for that on the chat. So if you want to grab that, you can. And let's see, I'm just looking to see if there's any other questions. So first off, Alan, thank you so much for taking the time to put this together. Very enlightening for someone like me that this is my first shot at Spotify. I mean, I knew it existed, but I haven't really explored it before. So if somebody wanted to reach out to you, Alan, would it be okay if they reached you by email, just ask a follow-up question? And if so,
Well, of course.
what is the email address you would like for them to use?
It's Alan at PugentSoundDJ.com.
Alan at PugentSoundDJ.com. Thanks again, Alan. Thank you so much. Everybody kind of do your little, give Alan a round of appreciation. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It was fun.
For putting this together, Alan. It was awesome. And for those of you that are watching on DJN TV, thanks for tuning in to another week. And with that, I'm going to stop recording. Bye, everybody.